boys and girls, children of Buddhist Sunday school, parents, grandparents, teachers of Sunday school, and moral education. May you all be well and peaceful. Today we are going to tell you a very famous fable, an Aesop's fable, a story you have probably heard before, but it is worthwhile to listen again and think about it. And it is that famous story called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There is an important moral lesson to be learned. At the end of the presentation, I will comment on the important Dharma point and also the moral lesson. We are going to show you the PowerPoint with the story. I'll go over the story and explain to you as we go along. So let us now launch the PowerPoint, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, a story with a moral. So let us now see the PowerPoint. Right? That is one, that's the first slide, right? And you can see some interesting animated pictures. You have this wolf here, and then you have the sheep, right? White in color, white fleece. You have also black sheep, brown sheep, but this is a white. And there's this boy who looked after the sheep. Now let us look at now you can see the animation, right? There's the wolf running, and then the sheep grazing on the grass in the meadow, the grassy land of the meadow. So, and this boy has to look after the sheep. Now let's look at this is another of the pictures. The boy who cried wolf. That's the naughty boy. These are the villagers, and you will see what the story is all about, right? Once there was a shepherd boy who had to look after a flock of sheep every day. Now, the shepherd boy, of course, is that person who looks after the sheep. Every morning, he has to bring the flock of sheep to the meadow. The meadow is the grassy land, very often near the hills or small mountains where you have a lot of grass. So the sheep can graze or feed on the grass. So that is the shepherd. So that was his job, to look after the flock of sheep every day. And then when evening comes, he would have to bring the sheep back to the village, right? So to understand this, one day he felt very lonely and decided to play a trick on the villagers. He decided to play a trick on the villagers. He was alone, you see, and he felt very lonely, sunyi, and he felt bored. Bored is bosan. He had nothing to do, right? So he was bored. So he was thinking of something not so nice to play a trick on the kampung people, the villagers. That's the naughty boy, right? So he ran into the village, into the edge of the village, probably, right? Shouting very loudly, "Help! Help! Wolf! Wolf!" Oh, you know what is a wolf, lah? Right? In Mandarin, they call it lang, serigala. And this wolf can be very fierce, and the wolf can attack smaller animals for their food. And actually, the wolves also with their sharp teeth can kill people, right? So whereas the fox is smaller, same family, but the wolf lama, serigala is more dangerous. So of course in the area there probably there were wolves. So he shouted, very loudly, "Help, help, tolong, tolong, serigala, serigala." So the kampung people or the villagers heard his cries, and they came rushing to chase away the wolf. So you can see the picture, the kampung people or the villagers are mostly farmers. So they brought their weapons like the sickle or maybe the axe, right? Or even jangkol or whatever, weapons. Of course, that time probably they were not using guns, right? So various types of weapons. So of course they had to help the boy who was the shepherd looking after the flock of sheep from the village. So he wanted to chase away the wolf. So when they arrived or when they reached the meadow, the grassy land where the sheep were feeding on the grass or grazing, so they asked the boy, "Where is the wolf? Where is the wolf?" You know what the boy said? The shepherd boy said, "Oh, he was here, but now he must have run away." Actually, he was lying. So that is not good. It's a break of the precept, right? One of the precepts, you must not lie. The fourth precept, isn't it? So he was here, but now he must have run away. So that was a lie. But of course, the villagers did not know that he was lying. So see what happens next. Well, that's the naughty boy. The villagers talked to him for a while. Of course, the villagers thought that he was truthful. So they say you have to be careful, right? Be on the alert, look out. When any dangerous animal comes along at a distance, you must already shout for help. And then they left, went back to the village to continue their work. So that was this boy. So he was having great fun. So he felt that it was fun playing this sort of game. So the next day, he played the same trick again, right? There was no wolf, but he ran to the edge of the village and shouted, "Help! Whoa! Help! Whoa!" So the villagers, of course, heard the shout. So second time, the villagers ran to help the boy. But once again, they did not find any sign of a wolf. Right now, you could see the farmers, the villagers with this called the sickle, and then probably with the hoe, and then maybe with the champung or some other types of weapons, not the weapons, actually the tools they use for farming, right? So they use this to try to chase the wolf away. So farmers. So the boy said the same thing. The wolf must have been here, but it must have run away already. So this time the man was not so sure already, right? They were a bit doubtful already. The man was not sure that the boy was telling the truth. And the boy just laughed at them, thinking that it was real fun to fool the adults. It was a nice game to play, right? But he didn't know how dangerous this game be. So the villagers with their tools, the sickle, the spade, the hoe, or even the chankol, many other tools. So they went back to continue their work. So a few days later, something happened. The shepherd boy was once again shouting. He went near the edge of the village and shouted, "Help! Help! Whoa! Whoa!" He shouted loudly again. He was this time very panicked, very scared already. The villagers heard him shouting, but the villagers just laughed and said to each other, "He's trying to trick us again." Because 2 times the villagers had been tricked, right? They ran to the meadow and there was no wolf, right? So the third time now, they did not believe the boy really, right? They thought that he was playing the fool again. No longer they could trust the boy, isn't it? But actually, this time, a wolf really was chasing the sheep. There was this wolf, a very fierce wolf coming. And this time, it was real. No one came to help the poor boy. And of course, you can see the picture, the fierce, angry wolf pounced at the sheep. Actually, the wolf would kill the sheep and then eat the sheep. Ah. So the poor boy couldn't do anything. How could he, as a small boy, fight the wolf? No adult villagers came to help. So what a tragedy, isn't it? So many sheep, right, were just killed by the wolf, by the fierce wolf. Then, of course, later, maybe towards near the evening already, after some time, already, the wolf had left this time. So the villagers came by. Probably they this time heard the boy crying very loudly, wailing, not shouting for help, but crying very loudly already. So the villagers this time came by, and really they found many dead sheep, right? So many sheep, you see, were killed by the wolf. You see, blood there on the neck, right? So the villagers couldn't do anything. The wolf had left already. So the boy was now very sorry for what he did, for telling the lies and playing the fool, not telling the truth. So the third time when the wolf actually came, nobody believed him. Nobody came to help him. And that was the consequence, the result of telling lies. So it's a very simple story, but with a very good moral lesson, right? So now, before we look at the summary of the lessons, let us look at some keywords. Shepherd boy, just now I told you, a boy who looks after the flock of sheep. Early morning, he would bring the flock of sheep to the meadow, a grassy land. They have a lot of grass, and then the sheep would graze, would feed on the grass. Sheep, you know what sheep are. As I've told you just now, right? You could get the sheep white in color, yielding next time the white wool, and then the black wool. Also, you have brown one. Remember you studied in kindergarten? Black sheep, have you any wool? That is the wool from the sheep, right? Villagers are kampong people. Village will be the kampong, shouting, shouting, very loudly, maybe screaming also. Then you have the wolf, the serigala, chase, kejar, right? Of course, the sheep would run when the wolf came, but the wolf could run very fast. He would chase the sheep. Meadow, just now I told you, the grassy land, right? And the laugh, So very simple words. Make sure, especially those in standard 1, 2, 3, learn the spelling as well. But the important thing is a moral lesson that people that often tell lies are not trusted even when they tell the truth. That's the most important moral lesson, right? So I hope you understand this story. Now let us look at the important Dharma points, right? And I will comment on the Dharma points based on the story. Now, of course, you can see here representing the farmer, one of the farmers, and then you have the sheep. This teddy bear I just added in, and this wolf. Right. Let's look at the first one. We must not lie. Always tell the truth. Very important, right? Now, I think if you, for those in Sunday school, you remember, right? Every time you start the Sunday school, you have the chanting. You have the Sampauka, and then you have the short Buddha Puja, right? Homage to the Buddha, right? And then taking the refuge. And then you will land in chanting the 5 precepts, isn't it? The first precept being not to kill, right? Panatipata, Veramani, Sikkhapada, Samadhiyami. Means you undertake the precept or training rule not to kill, right? And then the second precept, remember? Adina, Dana, Veramani, Sikkhapada, Samadhiyami. You take the precept not to steal, right? To steal other people's things, to take things that are not given to you. That's the second. I find that many, even at standard 4, standard 5, still don't know the meanings of the 5 precepts. They just chant like parrots. That's not good. That's why now I'm going over again with you. And the third one, right? The third one is what? Kamisu Michachara Veramani Sikkapada Samadhiyami. That means you take the training rule to abstain from sexual misconduct. Now, sexual misconduct, for example, people who are married and then they still go and disturb and tackle other people's wives or husbands or have sex with them. That is adultery, zina, right? Kamisu Vichachara Veramani Sikkapada Samadhiyami. Now the fourth one is relevant to this story, right? And that is not to tell lies. You chant, remember? Musawada Veramani Sikkapada Samadhiyami. That one is applicable to here, right? To take the precept not to lie, to tell lies. That's the important one. Then the fifth one is the precept of not to take liquor until you get mabuk, or even to take drugs, isn't it? Remember? You have the fourth one, Musawada Veramani Sikkapada Samadhiyami. That means not to lie. And then the fifth one, Sura Meraya Maja Pama Datana Veramani Sikkapada Samadhiyami. That means you take the training rule not to take intoxicating drinks like liquor and drugs also are considered very dangerous chemicals. So there's a revision for you on the 5 precepts. Now the second important point that we can learn, you see, why is it that you must not tell lies? When you tell lies, then people later on will not trust you. They will not believe in you. They always label you as a liar and a dishonest person. Just now you could see the story. And you wouldn't want to be labeled as a liar, isn't it? You have a bad reputation. People go around and say, hey, this fella always tells lies. I don't want to be his friend. That's not good, isn't it? So from young, you must learn already. Never tell lies. Okay? That's why you have the 4th precept. Right? And let's look at the third point. Honesty is the best policy. Dishonest people will suffer. You know the English proverb? Last time I think I did a presentation of honesty with the story. Honesty is the best policy. To be truthful, right? Not to lie, not to cheat, not to mislead. If you have dishonesty, you will suffer later on. I just tell you a very interesting joke. So there were these 2 boys, right? One by the name of Peter and the other by the name of Johnny. Now Peter was a very honest boy, primary schooler. And he was very good in his studies and he would never cheat, never lie, Whereas the other one, Bobby, he was a dishonest person. He liked to tell lies, and in tests and examinations, he would copy. Right? Now that is not good. He was thinking he could escape, but you know what happened one day? So the teacher gave them a test. And this Bobby, Peter, was sitting next to Johnny. Right? So Johnny was the dishonest boy, whereas Peter was the good, honest boy. So you see, during the test, what happened was, this Johnny looked at the test paper, the written paper of the friend Peter, and copied the answers. No, he was copying. And to copy in the test is something wrong. You're cheating, isn't it? He copied all answers. So then when the time was up, they passed up the papers, the test papers. And when the teacher marked the papers, of course, he could see 2 papers with exactly the same answers for all the questions. There were 10 questions, right? So he knew already it was this dishonest boy, Johnny, who copied from his friend who sat next to him. the friend, Peter, isn't it? So then the teacher called Johnny up. Johnny, did you copy from your friend Peter in the test? No, teacher. No, teacher. I did not copy. I'm a very honest person. Right? Oh, lying again, isn't it? Actually, he copied. All right? That was dishonest. Then the teacher said, if you had not copied, how come all your answers the same as the answers given by Peter? Then again lying. Johnny said, I study very hard. I study very hard so I could give all the correct answers like Peter. The teacher said, you are lying. You know what answer you gave for number 10? Number 10, Peter did not know the answer, so he wrote the answer for number 10. I don't know, right? The answer. And you also wrote, I don't know. So you must have copied that. Correct or not? Wow, caught already. So little Johnny was caught for his lying and his cheating. So he was punished. That is an interesting joke, but it tells you that honesty is the best policy. Being dishonest does not pay. In the end, you will suffer. Now let's look at the last point. That is telling lies is breaking a moral precept. This gives bad karma, right? And it is the fourth precept. Actually, the fourth precept consists of more than just the first one. The first one is not lying, right? Which is very important, of course, you see, right? Because when you lie, as just now you studied, other people will not trust you. And the second point is you can cause harm to people. Just like, for example, people who do business and sell things. And if they lie about the things they sell, people buy their things, they lose the money, and then get the things back at home and find the things are rotten. Don't you think that they are suffering because of the seller who was lying, right? So you actually cause harm to others. And then, of course, in a court case, if there are people who lie, these people can cause an innocent people to be jailed or even sentenced to death, So a lot of harm can come if people tell lies, you see. So that's why the Buddha said that you must not tell lies. But there are three other things pertaining to speech, what we call wrong speech, right speech. Now, the first point of the speech is that must not lie, right? And the second one is no slander. That means must not talk bad about people, carry tales, slander. And this, of course, hurts another person's feelings, isn't it? So no slandering. And the third one is not to use harsh words. Words which can cause hurt to people's heart, right? And then to, spoil people's reputation. This one you must be careful from young. If you learn all the bad words, then in time to come, you get into the bad habit. I remember the time when I was posted to St. Anthony's School. So I was teaching Form 5, Form 6. So some of the boys, they're actually good boys. But from young, they had used harsh speech, vulgar words. So early in the morning, outside the lab, I was in the lab. So outside, they were shouting all the bad words. I cannot mention that, right? 4-letter words, no, right? And then some of the words in Cantonese are terrible. They will scold their friend. I cannot say that. They scold the mother's anatomical part, Oh, I cannot say those words. Very vulgar words, not nice, right? Nowadays, you see on TV and shows, those are Western movies. They use a lot of those vulgar words. In our culture, as good Buddhists, we don't use all those harsh and vulgar words, isn't it? We use very good, gentle, soothing words. We have folded palms and say, may you be well and happy. All those gentle words. Then people will think of you as, wow, very well-behaved, cultured people. So never pick up all those dirty habits of saying harsh or bad, vulgar speech. The fourth one is no gossip. Gossip means right? No benefit, just gossip about people's affairs. Sometimes, of course, not true. Spread rumors and then cause trouble. So the Buddha said that in terms of the mouth, if you practice this lying, slander, talk bad about others or carry tales, practice harsh speech and gossip, then it is bad karma. And it is important to learn from young, right? So that's why you have this very important point. Of this story is about the lying, but I emphasize the other three also. So I hope you have learned important Dharma also from this very famous story. But more important is the lesson, right? It's just a story, but the important Dharma lesson must be applied, right? Not just learn and then get an A, but must really practice it, right? So you can share this story with your friends, and it's a very good deed you do. So before we end, I would like to express, all right, thanks and gratitude to all of you, the students, particularly the primary school children. This story most suitable for standard 1, 2, 3, or 4, all right? And also the parents, grandparents who are looking at the presentation so that they can also teach the other younger ones. And also the parents, grandparents, as I said, and the teachers of moral education, right? For all types of moral education classes, right? So to conclude, right, let us say sadhu 3 times, right? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Right? May you all be well and peaceful.